네, 초미의 관심사죠. 미국 중간선거가 끝나고 개표가 진행 중입니다. 현재 공화당이 하원의 과반 의석을 차지할 걸로 예측되고 있는 가운데 상원은 이미 민주당이 장악하면서 먼저 다수당 지위를 확보를 했죠. 이렇게 되면 내년 초부터는 미국의 분점 통치가 현실화될 가능성이 커 보이는데요. 이런 상황 속에서 국내 기업들은 어떤 대응 전략을 모색할 수 있을까요? 앞으로의 미국 정책 전망 그리고 그에 따른 국내 기업들의 기회를 이분과 함께 찾아보도록 하겠습니다. 미국 컨설팅 펌 캡스톤의 데이비드 바로스 대표 모셨습니다. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers?
I'd be happy to, G1. My name is David Barros. I'm the founder and CEO of Capstone, based in Washington, D.C., but with offices in London, Houston, and Sacramento.
Okay, so nice to meeting you. Do you know how to speak any Koreans?
A little bit. 맥주 제세요?
네, 맥주 주세요. 이렇게 한마디 말씀을 남겨주셨습니다. So it's a great pleasure for having you. I'll be asking a couple of questions. First of all, what is it that companies don't understand about U.S. policy towards China?
Great question, G1. I think the biggest concern is that companies inside the United States and outside of the United States gravely misunderstand U.S. policy towards China and are in denial. It's understandable that these companies are in denial because they have had a very good time over the last several years while U.S. policy has been accommodative to China. And now that it is becoming tougher, they are unwilling to recognize the truth. But we do believe that U.S. policy is getting more and more restrictive towards China, and that is not likely to change anytime soon.
So what the companies need to do is to, first of all, recognize that the relationship between the U.S. and China has fundamentally changed and adjust its business strategies. So moving on to the second question, what specifically will companies have to deal with?
Right now, U.S. policy is focused on keeping the most sophisticated technology out of Chinese hands and away from the possibility that it would be used for the Chinese military. That is primarily accomplished through a series of export controls where the United States government prevents the export of certain highly technological equipment to China, except with the use of a license. At the moment, that is really focused on the most sophisticated equipment, but we believe it is likely that it will expand from here, that export controls will go beyond where they are now and begin impacting other industries and things that are less technological. The second area that we think is of grave concern is the resilience of the supply chain. So the U.S. government is focused on supply chain resilience, and I think in that way there are opportunities for Korean companies to take advantage of incentives that the U.S. government will put in place to keep China from having leverage over the United States with regards to its supply chain.
So it would be very important for Korean companies to keep a close eye on the opportunities that they can benefit from, and I guess Capstone is here for us.
Absolutely.
So David, early in your career, you used to work for President Biden.
It's true.
So what do you find most significant about the midterm elections?
So there are several things that I think are important to think about when it comes to the midterm election. The first thing is that democracy worked. There were many fears that there would be widespread allegations of fraud in this election and that losing candidates would claim that their election was stolen. Happily, that did not happen. Second, I think it's important to recognize that President Biden really won this election in a significant way. Candidates that supported the president, had the president's support, and talked about the president's legislative achievements did very well in this election.
The midterm U.S. election sure did have a significant meaning and change compared to the 2020, and sure it seems positive. So applying the U.S. situation to Korea, what opportunities are there for Korean companies in the most recent legislation?
I think that there are several areas. So right now, I think it's important to understand that the U.S. government wants to have a much better relationship with Korea. And Korean companies are very involved in three areas: energy, semiconductors, and defense, that are incredibly important to the U.S. government right now. And so the opportunity for the Korean companies, which are global leaders in those areas, to work with the U.S. government is significant. We give another example with the Inflation Reduction Act. Our analysts say that hydrogen, as an example, the hydrogen tax credits in the Inflation Reduction Act will reduce the cost of producing hydrogen by up to 50%. This means that the United States will become a magnet for investment in hydrogen and other clean technologies. A second example is in the solar industry. The Inflation Reduction Act had many, many incentives that provide reasons for Korean companies to open up advanced solar technology facilities in the United States and to do solar projects within the United States. Lastly, I would say that if you take all of the recent legislation, the CHIPS Act, the $1 trillion infrastructure bill, and the IRA together, there are many, many opportunities for Korean companies to benefit from the tax credits and other incentives that the U.S. government has put in place to attract manufacturing to the United States.
I also really hope that Korean companies can grasp the potential chances. Hearing from you, it seems that Capstone can be the key to reaching that opportunity. How does Capstone help its clients?
That's a great question, and there are several ways. So first of all, we believe we are a very unique firm. So we are focused on marrying policy analysis, a large network of government officials, and investment analysis together to help our clients create winning strategies. Our focus is across a number of different industries, and we work with several different types of clients. We work with multinational companies, institutional investors, and private equity firms. And the types of sectors that we do that work in include energy, which is our biggest sector, financial services, healthcare, and technology. In summary, what Capstone really does is three things. We predict policy, we quantify impact, and we create strategy to help our clients make money in the United States and in the EU.
Nice. That was very interesting to hear. It was a great pleasure speaking with you today, and it sure gave our viewers an insight on how to deal with some issues. 앞으로의 이 미국 정책 향방과 그리고 주목해야 할 법안, 또 그 안에서 찾아볼 수 있는 국내 기업의 기회까지 오늘 들어봤습니다. 지금까지 미국 컨설팅 펌 캡스톤의 데이비드 바로스 대표와 함께 이야기 나눴습니다. 좋은 말씀 감사합니다. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you, Jiwon.